today we're taking a deep dive into the Indian automotive market.
The Indian car market. Now, that's a space I haven't looked at much before.
Yeah, specifically we're going to be looking at the Hyundai Motor India IPO.
Oh, wow. Okay, their IPO. Gotta be honest, I haven't really been keeping up with that one.
Yeah, well, no worries. We're going to unpack all of it. But just to set the stage a little bit, we're talking about a company that's not just some small player,
Right, Hyundai's huge.
huge. And they've been a driving force in India for over a decade.
Yeah, they're always one of the top brands you think about over there.
Exactly. And the numbers back that up. They've consistently ranked as the second largest automaker in India.
Wow, second largest. That's impressive.
And that's not a new thing either. They've held that position since 2009.
Wow, 2009, over a decade. I had no idea it had been that long.
And their Chennai plant, I mean, that alone is just a testament to their commitment. It's one of the largest car manufacturing facilities in India.
Oh, yeah. What's so special about their Chennai plant?
It's massive. Like, it's practically its own ecosystem.
Yeah.
They have rainwater harvesting ponds, a full-blown water treatment plant. It's crazy.
Wow, that's wild. Sounds like they're really in it for the long haul.
Yeah, it's clear they have a long-term vision. But it's not just about size for Hyundai. They've also been making some really interesting moves in the electric vehicle space.
EVs, what are they up to with those?
They're not just dipping their toes in the EV pool, they are diving in head first. The Kona EV back in 2019, that was just the beginning.
Well, yeah, the Kona, I remember that. So what have they done since then?
Well, they've got the Ioniq Q5 now that's turning a lot of heads.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got 4 more EVs slated to hit the market soon.
4 more, that's a big commitment. They're serious about this EV thing.
Absolutely. And it's not even just about the cars themselves. They're investing in building what they're calling a green hydrogen energy ecosystem.
Green hydrogen, what is that? Some sort of new fuel source?
Right. It definitely piqued my interest when I first read about it. It's still a pretty experimental technology.
Okay, so how does it even work?
So basically, we're talking about using renewable energy sources to produce hydrogen, and then using that hydrogen to power fuel cell vehicles.
Interesting. Sounds promising, but yeah, definitely still early days.
It's a long game, for sure, with a lot of hurdles to overcome, but if it pays off.
Yeah, if it works out, could be a game changer.
A complete game changer. And Hyundai, they're not exactly known for shying away from a challenge, are they?
Definitely not. They always seem up for trying new things.
Okay, so before we get too far down the road with green hydrogen, though, let's back up a little bit to the here and now. This IPO, it's generating a lot of buzz.
Yeah, for good reason, I'm sure. Big name like Hyundai.
What's really interesting about it is that it's an offer for sale.
Offer for sale? What's that mean exactly?
Basically, Hyundai Motor Company, HMC, they're offering a portion of their stake in Hyundai Motor India. So it's not like the company itself is issuing new shares or anything.
Okay, so it's like HMC is giving up part of what they own. Interesting strategy.
So for someone like me who maybe isn't a financial whiz, what does that actually mean? Why would they go this route?
Right. Good question. Well, there's a few reasons why this could make sense. Well, for starters, it lets HMC unlock some of the value that they've built in Hyundai Motor India.
Okay, so it's a way for them to kind of cash in on their investment a bit.
Exactly. And they can do it without Hyundai Motor India actually having to issue any new shares. It's more like HMC inviting other investors to take a piece of their slice of the pie.
So it's a win-win. HMC gets to benefit from their stake, and other investors get a chance to buy in.
Exactly. And for everyday investors like you and me, it's a chance to grab a piece of a company with a proven track record in a market that's absolutely exploding right now.
You're talking about the Indian car market.
That's the one. It's on fire. No other way to put it.
But isn't that also a double-edged sword? I mean, more growth attracts more competition, right?
You hit the nail on the head. It's getting seriously competitive over there. New players are popping up left and right, all vying for a slice of that delicious pie.
Okay, so break it down for me. Who are these new players, and what makes them such fierce competition?
Well, you've got a whole wave of new EV startups, all eager to capitalize on the electric vehicle trend. And then you've got the government pushing for more localization.
Localization. What does that mean?
It means encouraging manufacturers to source more of their components locally, which on the one hand makes sense. It boosts the local economy.
Right, creates jobs, that sort of thing.
Exactly. But it also throws a wrench in the works for companies like Hyundai who rely heavily on global supply chains.
Oh, I see. So it's this balancing act between taking advantage of local resources and maintaining those established global networks.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of reliance, we can't forget Hyundai Motor India's tight-knit relationship with their parent company, HMC.
Right, that close connection.
Yeah.
How does that factor into all of this, especially for potential investors?
It's a key part of the equation, really. You see, Hyundai Motor India depends on HMC for a lot. Like a lot, a lot. Technology, design, you name it. Even crucial components like semiconductors.
So basically, they're pretty reliant on HMC to keep things running smoothly.
Pretty reliant is an understatement. It's been crucial to their success so far. But like we were just saying with the supply chain stuff, too much reliance on any one thing can make you vulnerable.
So that's a risk investors have to consider.
Mm.
What about their EV gamble? They're going all in on that, but isn't the EV market in India still pretty small?
Yeah, it's definitely still in its early stages, and that's the gamble, right? They're banking on that market exploding in popularity.
But if it doesn't take off as expected, or if they hit roadblocks with things like charging infrastructure.
It could spell trouble. Big time. They've poured a ton of resources into EVs, so if it backfires, that's going to hurt.
So we've got competition, supply chain concerns, the whole EV unknown. What about their financials? Are they at least rock solid?
That's where things get a bit bumpy. I mean, their revenue growth has been impressive, no doubt.
But there's a but coming. I can sense it.
Always a but, right? Here's the thing. Their profits haven't been quite as stellar as their revenue. They've been hit pretty hard by rising costs.
Like, what kind of costs are we talking about?
Everything's more expensive these days. Raw materials, logistics, the whole nine yards. And then you've got that cutthroat competition we talked about, which can force you to lower prices to stay competitive.
Yeah, makes sense. Tough to maintain those profit margins when you're getting squeezed from both sides. And did you also mention something earlier about a bit of a tax issue?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost forgot about that. They had to make a pretty hefty customs duty payment, but they did it under protest. Basically, they're saying, hey, we'll pay this for now, but we don't think it's just right, and we're going to fight it.
Ah, so they're in a bit of a legal tussle with the tax authorities. That's never fun.
Nope, especially when you're a company the size of Hyundai. Just goes to show that even giants have to deal with bureaucratic headaches.
So to sum it all up, it sounds like we've got a mixed bag here with this IPO. A lot of potential upside, but some definite risks to consider.
Absolutely. That's the perfect way to put it. This is not a slam dunk investment by any stretch.
So for someone like me, who's maybe still wrapping their head around all of this, what are the main takeaways? What should I be focusing on?
I'd say the biggest thing is to understand this is a bet on Hyundai's ability to navigate a market that's undergoing a seismic shift. The Indian automotive landscape is changing at lightning speed, and while Hyundai has been a dominant player, there are no guarantees in this game.
Right. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results, as they say.
Exactly. It all boils down to whether you believe in their vision, their adaptability, their ability to overcome these challenges and come out on top.
So it's not just about looking at the numbers. It's about assessing their long-term strategy and their ability to execute it. But how can an everyday investor even begin to do that? I mean, it's not like we have crystal balls.
You're right, no crystal balls, but we do have something just as valuable, critical thinking skills.
Critical thinking skills, huh?
Hmm.
Well, I'm all ears. What kind of questions should we be asking to really understand the potential of this IPO?
Well, we've touched on some of the big ones already, right? Like how will Hyundai handle the competition? Can they really pull off this whole green hydrogen thing?
Right, right. Those are biggies. But is there anything else investors might be overlooking?
I think one thing that often gets lost in the shuffle is like the human element.
The human element. What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. Hyundai's been a leader in the Indian car market for a long time now, right? They've got this incredible track record.
Yeah, they've consistently held that #2 spot, like we said.
Exactly. So they're used to being at the top. But what if, and this is a big what if their biggest hurdle isn't just staying ahead of the pack?
Okay, I'm intrigued. What if it's not about staying ahead? Then what's the real challenge?
What if the real challenge is redefining what leadership even means in a future where, let's be honest, sustainability is non-negotiable?
I see where you're going with this. So it's not just about selling the most cars anymore. It's about becoming a different kind of leader.
Bingo, think about it. Imagine if Hyundai, with all their resources, all their manufacturing might, actually becomes the company that sets the standard for sustainability in one of the world's fastest growing car markets.
Wow, that would be huge. Talk about a legacy.
Exactly. And that's something investors should be thinking about, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about whether or not the Hyundai Motor India IPO is a smart financial move.
What's it about then?
It's about understanding the forces that are shaping the future, not just of the automotive industry, but of our entire world, really.
That's a pretty profound way to look at it.
Well, that's kind of the point, isn't it? We can get so caught up in the day-to-day, the stock prices, quarterly earnings, that we forget to ask the bigger questions.
The bigger questions like what kind of future are we creating? And who do we want to lead the way?
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play in shaping that future, whether we're CEOs or investors or just everyday people trying to make sense of it all.
Well said. That's definitely something to think about. So for our listeners who've been riding shotgun with us on this deep dive into the Hyundai Motor India IPO,
Yeah.
remember, this isn't just about crunching numbers.
It's about understanding the bigger picture.
It's about doing your homework, asking the tough questions, and ultimately deciding if this is an opportunity that aligns with your own values and your vision for the future.
Because the decisions we make today will determine the world we live in tomorrow.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been an incredible journey, really makes you think. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time for another insightful journey into the world of business and finance.